Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to introduce you to a Chinese monk. I just found out about him last week. Let's see. This is the late Dharma Master Meng San. And I don't know much about him. Does anyone know about him? He's apparently based in China. He's quite well known. Anyone else? Look him up. See, so he's the reason I know him is because there's a nun, a nun who came to our temple, and she said she was ordained by this master. So we heard of him, so that's why I was curious. I was given his photo, and I realized that why he's famous. He's for real. Okay, that is just for your information. He's I believe he's a second ground bodhisattva. He's passed away already, but he's a second ground bodhisattva. So he's based in China, and it was quite famous. Has quite a large following. Okay, a lot of people knew about him. Of course, they should know. The Chinese should know about him. He should be considered a natural treasure. They have in China. There are a lot of monks in my master's generation, Master YongHua's generation, where they are enlightened. Okay, and that's the very strong Chinese Buddhist tradition, Mahayana tradition. Okay. Hey, Xin, do you know anything about this master Hersh, this Meng San? Meng, yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's the same, Meng or Meng.
Master, Venerable Yuan is coming.
Her grand disciple,
Right,
is coming. But the one thing you can tell right away is that this monk here is very kind. Look at this photo here. Okay, maybe he's too old, and when you get to be as old as he is, and the only thing that's left about you is because you're not looking for fame and profit anymore. So what you have left is your true self. So his true self emerges. He's very kind-hearted, very kind-hearted. That's what caught my attention. The Chinese name don't mean a whole lot to me, and what they consider to be popular monks and nuns really don't impress me. But when I look at his photo, it caught my attention immediately. I noticed his kindness. Or look at this Korean monk now. See? You see the similarity? Oh no. Look at him. What's this him? This photo. Don't look at this. He's concentrating. He's praying. But look at him when he's relaxed. Look at him versus this one. Huh? See any similarities? What's the similarity? You know, in our Dharma ending age, when you see enlightened monks, you should be so happy because it's very hard to find enlightened monks. The Chinese, they have to use this trick where they set up a vegetarian feast. They will invite 1,000 sanghas, monks and nuns, and if you attend a vegetarian feast as 1,000 monks and nuns, and you guaranteed to be making offering to one fourth-stage arhat, at least. That's Chinese tradition. It's a very good tradition, by the way. If this Dharma ending age for you to be able to make an offering to one fourth-stage arhat, your blessings, you can use it up for many lifetimes. One offering. That's it. Okay? So that's why the Chinese is very smart. They have this beautiful tradition where you attend a vegetarian feast and you make sure that 1,000 sanghas there. And it's guaranteed that the offerings you make to that, the whole assembly there will go to at least one fourth-stage arhat. It's a Chinese tradition. Okay? And we don't have that in this country. Okay? Our Mahayana tradition is very, very at an early stage, so we don't have a lot of things to depend on. Okay? But look, this Korean monk I told you is the second ground bodhisattva. Okay? I went to his temple, his main temple. We went to his main temple, met with his disciples. Okay? And you see the kindness here, you know, in you see this photo here versus this photo here. See the similarity in kindness? Okay? Why is that? Because they're at the same level. Okay? They're both second ground bodhisattvas. And second ground bodhisattvas specialize in practicing precepts. Okay? So they're very pure. That's the characteristics of the Mahayana monks. Each one of them have a different specialty in their spiritual practices, and depending on the level, they come to our world. They came here on purpose in order to refine their spiritual practice. So when they came to our Saha world, Venerable Meng San and Venerable YongHua, is there an H missing here, Sarah? Or is it? It's like this. CHUNG. Okay, make the correction, please. Okay, so this monk here, he came to China, came and became a Chinese person. He can be anything he wants. Okay, but he came to China in order to practice purity and teach people about purity. His disciples about purity. And by the way, we have his grand disciples here, Venerable Yuan Miao, also from China. Okay, she's visiting us, so welcome. Okay, we're glad to have you. Okay, it is indeed a great honor to be able to be ordained by an enlightened monk. Trust me, it's very difficult, very, very difficult to become ordained by an enlightened master. Okay, it's a big deal. I'll put it that way. Okay, Do you have the Chinese character Sarah for Master YongHua? Just be U, not an O. This is a U here, not an O, the way that the Koreans spell them. Okay, so we talked about this Korean monk, Master YongHua here. He is second ground Bodhisattva. He went to Korea and he passed away in 1980s, 82, 84, 85, something like that. Master Meng San, when did he pass away? Do you know? 2017, so it's recent. So he managed to stay around a lot longer to teach his disciples. Okay, and you can tell that when you are a direct disciple of this enlightened monk, you can be assured that many of his disciples are pretty good. Okay, I saw second stage arhats, third stage arhats, fourth stage arhats, and so forth. Okay, quite a few of them. So this is commonplace. So I don't even need to look at her teacher, who is the direct disciple of Master Meng San. Is a Meng or Zheng Beng? Meng San. Dream. So dream and dream investigation. So he investigating a dream. So he goes, when he sleeps, he meditates. You see, that's what it's, one of the meaning is that instead of sleeping, he meditates. Or when he dreams, he's actually meditating. And actually it's true. These people, they sleep, but they don't sleep like us. Some of them are skilled enough to that when they sleep, they're actually practicing. For too far-fetched, the enlightened people are not the same as we are. Okay? You realize that when they sleep, they actually are practicing. Or they actually are working. All right? Can you tell us a little bit more about your grandmaster? You don't know much about him at all. Feel free and use that microphone there. Just briefly, don't worry about it. I just always admire enlightened monks and nuns. I'm so happy to know of them, to hear of them.
Is this working?
Yes.
I was fortunate to be ordained, T2, by Master Meng Tan.
So that's when you left home life.
Yes, I
but
left home
did
life.
he give you the full precepts?
Not the ordination, but
ordination,
living
okay.
home life.
Okay,
Yes.
fine.
So
she ranks up there. She's,
actually, he said that I'm too old to take disciples now, but then some 居士, like lay supporters who were close to him, said that this lady is from the U.S. and she really wants to leave home. And then anyway, in the end, he let me become a nun.
I see.
Yes.
And when he passed away, how old was he?
103.
103.
Yeah.
So he shaved you 11 years ago.
Yes.
So it's about, he was 92.
90, yeah.
92,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. He
His
should be retired by then.
his background was pretty amazing in that briefly he became a monk, I believe he was 17, and then he studied with very well-known monks like 虚云老和尚, 弘一大师, 谭虚大师, 持州老法师, and then Xu Yun, Master Xu Yun, we knew that he was an enlightened person, enlightened Zen master. Everybody recognized that. Anyway, he practiced with these very well-known masters for about 20 years or so, and then he went to Tibet for about 10 years. And then the Chinese Cultural Revolution happened, and that at that time, because he was in Tibet, they put him in jail. And they wanted him to disrobe and help the communists to persecute the Tibetan monks, and he refused to do so. So he ended up being put in re-education labor camps for a total of 33 years.
Wow.
He went through grueling experiences there. He saw all the worst of human natures there. And then he later on, he didn't speak much about that experience, but he said that many times the suffering was so great that he wanted to leave this body. He was able to do that. He was able to leave at will. But then he said when he had that thought, he then had a dream. In his dream, he was once again able to teach Dharma to many, many, many people, including foreigners. So after that dream, he said, oh, maybe my mission is not done. And he said, I came here to help sentient beings. And now they are in such dire suffering, especially in China at that time. No matter what, I must continue to survive, live, and then hope that I would be able to teach Dharma later on. He kept that hope. He said that was the only strength that kept him alive in prison for 33 years. He has my bodhisattva, bodhicitta vow. Because in the Hua Yan Jing, there was that saying that if the burning a wheel of fire is rolling on my head, even that kind of pain will not cause me to fall back or go back. Meaning, I will still sustain my bodhicitta vow,
right?
Regardless of any kind of suffering. So every day he told himself that, and he kept hoping and hoping 1 year after another. And 33 years later, he was released from prison. And
wow, that's superhuman. Think about it. You are basically dying every day.
Yeah.
You face death every day. People around you are dying and sick and suffering every day.
He was badly tortured too. During the Cultural Revolution, a lot of monks were put in jail and tortured. I mean, they lost their arms, lost their legs, and lost their eyes.
Can you say that in public? You
no, I would say it here because
okay.
No, I would not say that there. In any case, so after he came out of jail, he was still being surveilled. So later on, it was actually Master YongHua helped him, invited him to come to Wanfo for an event. And so that was the opportunity for him to stay out here. And so he stayed in America for, I believe, 10 years, 12 years, until China was a little bit better, more open with religion. Then he went back to teach. But then he traveled a lot in Asia and also in America, Canada. So And then he vowed in prison, he vowed that I have lost 33 years of my life in prison. Now I will make it up after I come out of jail. After he came out of jail, he made that vow. So he actually did live for about 33, 34 years after coming out of jail. Because he went into jail at 35, and then he came out when he was 66. So his entire youth was in that terrible condition.
Yeah.
So from 66, he said, I'll make up the 33 years. So he passed away when he was 103.
Yeah.
So about 34 years, he kept his word.
So those of you, this is important, those of you who feel like you waste your life, it's never too late.
No, actually, he said that those 33 years for him was a very good practice time. 闭关, like solitary practice. So he was pretty amazing, and he is so kind to everybody. And the last time because later on when his disciples kept him from meeting too many people because he was getting weak. The last time I met him was about 3 months before he passed away, and he was in a wheelchair. He couldn't speak much, but I remember we went there to give him, bow and offer a gongyang. He sat there and he looked at each of us in the eyes for about 30 seconds or so. And after leaving his room, I felt that he told me something, and that was, his mind is so even. 平等. There was no affliction. I cannot describe, but he told us something with his glaze, and that was the last I remember of him. So thank you for your time. I just share a little bit about my Shifu, Emitofuo. Thank you, Master, for making this possible for us. I felt that this is so wonderful because in America, we need Buddhism, especially Mahayana, but it's not easy to preach Mahayana. To have this Daochang, such a assembly place with so many wonderful nuns and monks, it must have taken you so much effort to start it and to make it happen and to maintain it. And we need it so much. So thank you very much, Master, for making this possible for all of us. Emitofuo.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your information about your master with us. We really appreciate it. A part of our tradition is to learn, inquire, and learn about the enlightened monks, whoever they are, whether it's the Chinese or the Korean or Tibetan and so forth. Buddhism has no national boundaries. Okay. And we all in this together. So our tradition of Mahayana is to learn from good known advisors. So whoever they are, wherever they are, when you hear of them, we like to learn about them and go draw near them when possible. So it's too bad that this late monk here passed away before I knew about that. If I knew, I would have come to him, okay, and pay my respects. Okay, so here. So hearing his story here tells me this is my guess about what happened with his path of cultivation. I'm always curious about that. How he got there, and then what did he do after he got there? So basically, his practice was about to follow in the Mahayana tradition. You can tell people who have Mahayana roots will understand this immediately. Okay, Mahayana, we practice Mahayana by following an enlightened master, period. Okay, that's what we do. And so when he heard about enlightened masters, Master Meng San, he drew near them. You see, that tells you right there, that he has Mahayana potential. He has Mahayana roots. The Hinayana people don't do that. Okay, they're don't feel as compelled as we are about drawing near a competent, wise teacher. Okay, so what did he do? Who did he draw near? He heard the name Xu Yun Lao He Shang. Okay, so so that's Xu Yun Lao He Shang is 8th ground Bodhisattva, as we told you already. Okay, and then he drew near all the famous monks, such as, I don't know one of the names, but I recognize Tan Qu. Okay, he's a 4th stage Arhat. Hong Yi, another 4th stage Arhat. Okay, so you see, you draw near these enlightened people, they will teach you the proper things, the proper fundamentals. If you don't have the proper fundamentals, you don't have a prayer of a chance in your spiritual practice. It's most important to build the proper foundation. And that's what he did. So he had the proper foundation. And maybe not in the sense that they have to go to a class and tell you what the fundamentals are. In Mahayana, you learn the fundamentals by being around, by hanging around. Okay, I learned a similar thing. I hang around my master's temple for 4 years. Okay, so you don't understand anything, but you absorb it. Okay, and that becomes part of you. And you learn from observing, and eventually down the road you see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. That's what happened for me as well. So he learned from these great monks. So the first thing you do when you practice Chan or Pure Land or anything, you need to draw near a good no advisor. That's Mahayana right there. Okay? And clearly she has Mahayana roots as well, but she drew near an enlightened monk. Okay? It's not easy to do. I wish I knew about Master Meng San, I would have drawn near before you did, I assure you. Okay? Because my master, I left home life in 25 years ago, and my master died on me immediately. So I was looking for enlightened monks, all the enlightened monks. And I didn't know anyone. My Chinese wasn't good enough. Okay? Of course, I would never go to China. Okay? If my master left China, I would not go to China myself. It's clear to me, he says. It's not a very productive environment, okay, unfortunately. So you cannot draw attention to yourself. When you practice spiritually, you don't want to draw attention to yourself. Okay? Doesn't matter whether they're receptive or not receptive to you. Regardless, you don't draw attention to yourself. Okay? So I would not go to places where they scrutinize you at all. And scrutinize anyone and everyone. So anyway, so he learned the proper fundamentals from the great teachers, the famous teachers. And that's what you do in Mahayana. You cannot tell which one, who's at what level. But the Chinese Mahayana tradition was so strong. I noticed the word was, not is anymore. Okay? It was so strong that in his era, for example, 100 years ago, over 100 years ago, the tradition over a century ago, your if you want to practice, you look for good known advisors, period. And that's a very important lesson for us in the United States, in our era, in new millennium. You want to learn, you draw on your good known advisors. That's what they did. This is how he became himself. Yes, you too.
Tiango asks, Master, what level was Venerable Hongyi, one of the good knowing advisors that Venerable Meng can draw near?
HongYi was a fourth stage arhat, at least. I don't have a photograph of him, but from the way that his disciples, and I read his teachings in Taiwan. I read some of his teachings, and I just the same way I read Venerable Tan Xu's teachings. And he explained the Shrangma Sutra. Okay, I read that, and I said, understanding is not quite there yet. Okay, and that's a level of fourth stage arhat. HongYi, same thing. He explained the precepts. I read some of his explanation of the precepts. I could tell that his understanding that the Vinaya is not quite there yet either. So, fourth stage arhat. All right? They're all dead. That's why I don't mind telling you. So anyway, so he learned from the great teachers. He drew near the great teachers, and then that's one thing. You have to learn the proper things, and then you need a place to cultivate. Okay, his life is very hard. Okay, typically, when you cultivate, you need protection, just like the babies right now. They need protection. You cannot throw the babies at the wolves yet. You cannot make them swim with the sharks yet. You understand? You need to give them protection. You need to nurture them. If you can you imagine, Anna, you throw Sabina to the sharks. I'm sure she'll survive. Okay? But she won't be the same anymore. She'll have bites, she has scars, she has everything, So that's why it's very important that part of the spiritual path is that you need protection, you need help. So you need the proper environment, okay? And his life is hard, at the age, so he went around and he was in the labor camp at the age of 33. He went around and learned. So he learned about 16, 17 years. He went around, meaning that he didn't really have protection. If he met Master Hsuan earlier, he would not have been going around. Master Hsuan is a great trainer. He would not let it happen. That's why later he met Master Hsuan after he came to the U.S. for 10 years. Actually, Master Hsuan helped him for 10 years. Okay? So anyway, so it tells me that for 17 years, 16 years, he's still searching. If he knew better, he would have stayed at Master Hsuan. But Master Hsuan is you cannot read him. Okay? And so he did not, and Master Hsuan wasn't a great trainer either, like Master Hsuan. So Master Hsuan training style is more Wei Yang, so it's different. Master Hsuan Wei Yang is a little bit higher, quite a bit higher. So his training is different. But so it's not surprising to me that when he met Master Hsuan basically taught him the fundamentals and said, keep looking, okay? And then Master Hsuan did that to Master Sheng-Yi as well, I believe. Okay, Master Sheng-Yi was one of the senior disciples, direct descendants of Master Hsuan, and he left as well. So Master Hsuan training is more like the Thai forest tradition. He teaches you, and then just send you off. Okay, it's also part of Wei Yang lineage as well. Okay. but it's a low-level Wei-Yang training, if you will. So anyway, so Master Meng Can learned from the great teachers. That's very important. And that's why when you want to learn from a monk and nun, you ask yourself, who are his teachers? Who did he learn from? Where did he spend most of his time, his training time, his learning time with? That's very important. Not necessarily famous ones. It's we're looking for the kind of teachers who are enlightened. Hong Yi is enlightened. Tang Xu is enlightened. Xu Yun is enlightened. Okay, so those teachers are what we want. It tells you that the makeup is there. The fundamentals are sound. Yes, Q&A. You forgot my tea, huh? It's too late now. Everyone is so curious. You all forgot about my tea. Sacrilegious.
Hello, Master.
The first time in 15 years you forgot about my tea. Forget it. It's okay. I don't want it anymore. Yeah, I have a temper. I feel rejected. Yes, Black. So that's her turn? Okay, no problem. Q&A, go ahead.
Hello, Master. I have a question in
Oh,
regards.
I recognize that voice. I just talked to her a couple of days ago. Face to face. Now it's from the tomb. Yes.
I have a question for our venerable nun, if I may ask her. I have two questions. One is, perhaps I missed it, but I wondered what is the lineage of your master? And then secondly, what did your master focus on? Was it ceremony or lecture sutras or Chan or so forth? Thank you very much.
Okay. Red.
Hello, it's working, right? Master Meng Can, he went through stages of training. He started out learning Huayan. Master YongHua Huayan, yes. I don't know the English name of the sutras, sorry. So he followed that to begin with. And then he studied with Hong Yi, Fa Shi, and that's the precepts. So he got very solid training in precepts. But I would like to emphasize that he started out training with the Huayan Jing is important because it set his vision and his direction of this entire practice, the bodhicitta path. So he learned that first, and then he studied precepts, and then he went with Tan Xu Lao和尚. Tan Xu Lao和尚was known for teaching the Tiantai lineage of theories, and they have their way of meditation. But it still belongs to the Mahayana school. So he, from Tan Xu, so anyway, he got a well-rounded training from the Bodhicitta vow, the Mahayana meaning, then the precepts, then the various Mahayana sutras, including especially about prajna, border. And then he was trained under Shu Yung Lao和尚, and there he learned the Chan, the meditation part. And then later on, he went to Tibet. He studied there and trained there for 10 years. So he was very well-rounded in the Mahayana school with the different traditions and lineages. And then for the 33 years in jail, it was the Mahayana spirit and vow that sustained him. Every day, he said he would recite the Pu Xian Heng Yuan Pin. Master YongHua, what's that in English?
That's the universal worthy chapter 40 of the Avatamsaka Sutra. That's a very important chapter.
Yeah, the 10 Bodhisattva vows. That was what kept him going. Like us, we're just chanting, but for him, he put that chanting into daily practice and strengthening his spirit ever more. So after he was released from prison at 66, he was not in a very good condition or environment. So he had a chance to learn about the Di Zhang Famen. Di Zhang Famen, Master YongHua, Di Zhang Famen.
That's the Earth Store Dharma.
Earth Store Bodhisattva Dharma. So he learned that, and at that time, that particular practice helped him dispel a lot of obstacles, including helping him to be able to come to America. Because I heard that when Master YongHua invited, I believe, 20 monks to come to the city of 10,000 Buddhas, it was a very difficult thing to do at that time. And he was not one of the person to be invited, but then somehow something happened. One of the monks could not go, so he took that place and came. So anyway, it was kind of a result of his practicing of the Earth Store Dharma. I don't know what that involves, but anyway, it had that effect. So I guess to answer your question in a long way, he then was quite well-rounded to teach according to his students. Whatever they need, he would teach them. But consistently, he would always lecture on Hua Yan Jing. And then later on, he also lectured on Di Zhang Famen. So I guess I answered the question. It was kind of long. Thank you.
But he didn't teach you directly. The question is, what did he?
For about 10 years, he lived behind the nunnery that I was in. So he would come to lecture to the whole temple. We have a few hundred of us there. So he would teach in that way.
Okay.
But not to me directly.
Very good. Okay. So there you have it. He's in love with the Avatamsaka Sutra, which shows you that his interest in early exposure means that he was very has many blessings. So he's different from us in a sense that he can be exposed to. So his training is not the traditional way we train Mahayana. Mahayana, we train you. For example, in our Wei-Yang lineage, our Mahayana style training is that doesn't look like it, but we train you on precepts first. For him, it's the Avatamsaka Sutra. Okay, so we learn precepts first, and then so that's why it may look like it to you, but you actually are being trained in precepts. We don't just say it. Okay, because precepts are the main foundation in Mahayana training. Anything has to be built on precepts. Okay, you cannot get there unless you have stronger more purity than when you first came. That's the way it is. You can deny it all you want, but you are a purer person, a more wholesome person, if you will. In layman's term, you are a good person, more good person. Not a better person, more good person. Understand? Yes, White?
Yeah, Master, I have a question on obtaining further training after receiving and practicing the precepts. For instance, let's take not being allowed to use intoxicants. Well, once you pledge to do that and you no longer take intoxicants, what is the further training on that subject? It seems to me it's pretty straightforward. You've accepted that you're not to use intoxicants. What other training would be involved under that subject?
Yeah, we have to take it offline. Each person is different. As again, I'm reminding you again. You've been here for many years, and you stuck at your current level for quite a while because you like it. Yes? The past 5 years, you like where you are. Yes? Every time you meditate, you feel good. Yes? And it helps you go through the day much easier. Going home, and dealing with your daily life, okay? Your challenges, your friends, okay? Your body, okay? So it worked for you, okay? And you chose to be that way until one day, recently, past few weeks ago, you said, I want more. Then you'll be taught more. We respect what you wish, okay? There's no single mold. I keep on talking about improvement, okay? But that's a general thing. You have to choose to do that, otherwise we leave you alone, okay? So that's why for your next, the next steps will be something specific to you. We cannot say in public. We don't want to say in public either, because it's about you. It doesn't apply to anyone else. Okay? So allow me to take it offline. All right? There's a difference, because believe it or not, when you show your face up like this, I look at you, I know where you are. I respect your wishes. I will not do anything to try to influence you. Okay? Boys and girls, that's called respect. You respect people, you let them be themselves. Okay? You don't impose your value systems on others. Okay? So anyway, so going back to the point here, in our training, our Wei-Yang training, our style Wei-Yang training is slightly different from my masters. Each person has different approaches. The Master Xu Yun is different. He teach you some fundamentals, he throw you, he said, go. Master YongHua, we're doing that. What he's doing right now, we're providing you with the umbrella under which you can safely practice. Okay? The difference is that I will put a lot more pressure on my level people than lay people, because level people, for me, are on a mission. We're different from his level people. They can be pure, they can be people like this, okay? But not us. It's not our mission. Our mission is to go and wage war against evil. We don't have time to stay behind the four walls. Cannot afford to stay behind the four walls. That's why I need you to improve. You have to be stronger and stronger so that you can do more work. That's for level people. So anyway, so typically in our training, I don't mind sharing it with you, the first thing is fundamentals, meaning you need to learn about goodness and evil. What's goodness, what's evil? Okay, and you need to make it part of you. If your makeup is not goodness, I will not train you anymore, period. I will accept you as you are. If you are not refining, making yourself pure, if the steel is not pure, it cannot be forged into a real superior weapon. We forge steel first. That's precepts. You may go to me and learn meditation. Actually, I'm teaching you about being a better person. If you do that, you improve very quickly. Okay? So anyway, so after you learn the foundations, that's when traditionally we teach you about Chan, how to meditate. His higher lifestyle is different. He learned about Avatamsaka Sutra first, meaning that he has a foundation first already. So when he met YongHua later, Master YongHua later, is to remind him of what the foundation is supposed to be so that he can teach his disciples later, not for him. You got that? That's why it happened. Because without that, he would not have been able to really appreciate the Avatamsaka Sutra. So this order is a little bit off, but it's for him to train his disciples, not for him. So he's different. Yes, Red.
Sorry, I would like to just add that actually Master Meng Chan, when he first became a monk at 17 or so, pretty quickly he was trained under Master Chizhou. Chizhou Lao Fa Shi was...
Get me the Chinese name and information on him, okay?
Yeah,
Might
he's
be
very
another one.
low-key. He's not as well-known as YongHua or Xu Yun. But his specialty was keeping precepts and chanting Amitabha. And also following Huayan. So his first teacher, I believe, was Chizhou. But anyway, he was with Chizhou master for about 4 years. And he described that those 4 years, they could not go anywhere, do anything. Every day, besides studying the Huayan Sutra, they do a lot of repentance bowing. A lot of bowing and a lot of chanting Amitabha's name. And then also, they did learn precepts, but not as thorough as with YongHua. But he was there for 4 years, and he said Master Chizhou would sit he has his room in front of the door. You know, like the Shami will live in this room, the practice hall, and then Chizhou Lao Fa Shi will be, his room is right at the door, so they cannot leave the hall. They are there all day. They have to practice all day. They don't get to go out. They have to do a lot of bowing to repent. And then the precepts was taught to them in daily life and chanting Amitabha name. So I felt that those 4 years for him was the grounding as well. I didn't say that, yeah.
Very good, yeah. Thank you for the information. Yeah, that's it. That's the foundation right there. And you need that. You need that in order to build the other skills on top. If you don't have that proper foundation, then for him to make it to where he was, Master Meng Chan, the way he was, it has to come from a prior life. Okay. So anyway, so we have to go through those phases. The foundation first. Okay. And the foundation is not necessarily learning the ABCs, okay, of the process, but it's about living it. There's a difference. The environment is very different. So Chizhou there, he was there, so he enforced. He's the enforcer, okay? And if you have an inappropriate mind, an impure mind, you could have not survived his rules, his regulations. That's a very Chinese way. I guess it's one way to do that. It wouldn't work nowadays. Okay, it would work for the Chinese back then, but I don't think it would work for the Chinese nowadays even. Okay, the mindset is not like that. The communist educational system doesn't support that. Okay, so anyway, so that's why it's different times. 100 years ago, a couple of centuries ago, different era of the time. So he learned. Oh, Su is kindness. Zhou is boat. So yeah, I can see. Get me a better photos. It's a very old photo right there. Okay, but anyway, so Master Tzu Chou here is the drill sergeant, if you will. He's very rigid. Look at his picture right there. Okay, he's very rigid. There's only one lane. You go down this one lane. If you don't, and you go off, get out. Okay, so that's another way to build a foundation. If Master Tzu Chou is enlightened, that's a darn good way to build it. If he's not enlightened, if he's a fourth stage Arhat, you'll be in trouble. Okay? So that's a difference. I believe he's enlightened. Otherwise, Master Meng San would be limited as well. The foundations matter. It's critical. Okay? Just when I was there at my master's temples, I hated it. The Chinese are just too rigid. Okay? But whatever I saw, okay, made the impression on me. That's what the pure life is supposed to be. Okay? And that it's invaluable. It's priceless. Okay, so he learned from Master Tzu Chou, so that's very good. Anyway, time is we ran out of time, and maybe we'll pick this up another time. Okay, thank you everyone. See you next time.